Alright, let's get started on practice 1. Alright, so we're starting with number systems. And number 1A says negative 15 plus negative 3. Now, when we're learning about integers, we know one of the rules says that when you have two numbers with the same sign, that the answer is going to have the same sign. So these two numbers have a negative sign. So that means our answer is going to be negative. All right, so we're going to add these two negatives. So we have negative 15 plus negative 3, which will give us negative 18. All right. All right, now B, again with integers. Okay. Remember, integers are numbers that are 0, 1, 2, 3, and negatives. 1, 2, 3, negatives. All right, these are what integers are. So when doing math, all right, and they ask for the opposite of a number, it will always most likely be the negative or positive of that number, depending on if the number is negative or positive. In this case, this number is positive because we know whenever, and if you didn't, now you need to know, whenever you see a number that's by itself, like this 4 right here is by itself, there's no sign in front of it, so it's automatically positive, right? So we know opposites. So the opposite of positive is negative. So to get the opposite of positive 4, it would be negative 4. Right? Because if we're looking on a number line like this, we'd have 2, 3, 4 over here, on the positive side, and 4 steps away from the 0, but going in negative direction. Okay, and those are your opposites. All right? All right, let's do the next one. This is pretty simple because we have two positive integers, and when we multiply positive integers, the answer is going to be positive. All right, so positive 12 times positive 8. If we know our 8 times tables already, that should be positive 96. All right, if you want, you can put a little positive sign there. All right, next one is decimals, fractions, percents. All right, so number 2 is asking us to write 12/24 as a decimal. All right, now with fractions, this line in the middle right here, that is actually division. So we're just going to divide. Now, if you're using a calculator, you would actually just type in 12 divided by 24. But we're going to do it on paper because you need to learn how to do that, because on the FSA, the first half of your test is not going to be with calculator. So you actually need to know how to do this. All right, so when we're setting this up, we always make sure that our bottom number is on the outside. Right, so that's going to be on the outside. On the inside, we have positive. Our top number, sorry. All right, so now let's just go through the steps of long division. All right, so I'm going to ask myself, is there a number in the 24 times table that is 1 or close to 1? Well, in the 24 times table, the only number that would be close to 1 would be 0, right? Because if I was actually to write them out right here, right? So we would do 24 times 0 is 0. 24 times 1 is 24. 24 times 2, 48. So on and so forth. All right, you can go on. All right, so if we did 24 times 1, that would be too big. That would be too big for me to use for 1. All right, so I have to go back down to the multiple right below that, which is 0. All right, so I'm going to subtract 0 because 24 times 0 is 0, which leaves me with 1. And I'm going to bring down my 2. All right, so now I'm working with 12. So now I need to ask myself, is there a number, a multiple of 24 that is 12 or close to 12? All right, but less than it. The closest one that's not bigger than 12, again, is 0. So I need to put 0 again. All right, so now I'm out of numbers here, right? So what you're going to do at this point is you're going to put a decimal at the top. Okay, you're going to bring a decimal. Decimal goes at the end. All right, and then you're just going to add a 0 and bring it down. So now you have 120. All right, so I need to think of my 24 times table and think, is there a number that is 5 or close to 5? Sorry, is there a number that is 120 or close to 120? Yes, that would be 24 times 5. All right, and 24 times 5 is 120, which leaves me with 0. So here is my answer right here. It is 0, or we can put the 2 zeros, but I'm just going to put 1 0. So 0.5. So it's actually just a half. All right, and those of you who are pretty decent with math, you would have realized this already by looking at the 12 and 24. Right? If you were to simplify 12 over 24, simplify it, you could use 12 to simplify both of these, right? 12 divided by 12 is 1. 24 divided by 12 is 2. And what is that? That's half. And half in decimal form is 0.5. Okay? So these are just some of the basics that you should already know. All right. Let's move on to ratios, proportional relationships. So this one says if 5 pizzas cost $60, they want to know how much will 9 pizzas cost. All right, so when you see these type of problems, what you need to do is what they call setting up a proportion. All right, which means you're pretty much setting up two fractions, okay, that equal each other. All right, so we're going to use information from this problem to help us figure out the missing information. So they did tell us that 5 pizzas, right, I'm going to put my pizzas at the top, 5 pizzas cost $60. All right, now when I set up my proportion, I need to make sure that this side is set up exactly the same as this side. So right here I put the pizzas at the top, right? So what number am I going to put at the top here? 9, right? 9 pizzas. So I'm putting 9 pizzas. The question was, what will 9 pizzas cost? So I don't know what 9 pizzas cost, so I can't put the money down here or the amount down here. So since I don't know, I'm going to use something called a variable. A variable, we put that in the place of a number or solution that we don't know yet. All right, so now whenever you see anything like this, you're going to do something called cross multiply. All right, and it's exactly what it is. You're multiplying across, right? So well, how do I multiply 5 times x? Well, that is what it is. It's going to be 5x. Right, I'm going to bring my equal sign in there. And then I'm going to multiply 60 times 9. All right. And just for, just to understand how to do this without calculator, let's go ahead and multiply 60 times 9 without using a calculator, okay? So right here, I'm going to go ahead and write 60 times 9. All right, so what is 9 times 0? 0. Remember, whatever is here, whatever is at the bottom of your multiplication problem, you have to multiply that by every number at the top. So I multiplied 9 times 0, now I got to multiply 9 times 6, right? And what is 9 times 6? It is 54. All right, so there's my answer. So now I cross multiplied. I did 60 times 9, and that is 540. Okay, now I'm going to divide, because I need to get this x to be by itself. So I'm going to divide, right? And 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I'm just going to cross that out. Okay. And then for the sake of just knowing how to multiply and divide on paper, I'm going to go ahead and do 540 divided by 5 instead of just using a calculator. So I'm going to do 540 divided by 5. 5 goes into 5 one time, right? 5 times 1 is 5. Leaves me with 0. So I'm bringing down 4. 5 goes into 4 how many times? I can't use 1, because if I did 1, that would be 5, and that would be too big. So I need to go down. So I'm going to do 0. 5 times 0 is 0. Leaves me with 4. Now I need to bring down my next number. So now I have 40. Right? And 5 times what number is close to 40? Well, 5 times 8 is exactly 40. So I can use that one. And that leaves me with 0. So there's my answer right there. Right? So 9 pizzas, which is X, costs $108. All right, let's hurry up and get this done. All right, next one, expressions, equation, inequality. This is an equation. The reason it's an equation is because it has this equal sign right here. An expression would only have this, right? It would only have these terms. But because we have an equal sign here, that means we can solve this and find an answer for x, right? We want to figure out what is x. We need to get this x to be by itself. So what you do with equations is you work backwards to find the answer. All right? And we're going to start on the side where the unknown number is, right? And we're going to start farthest away from that variable, which is x. So we'll start right here with positive 4. We're going to do the opposite of positive 4. What's the opposite of positive 4? Negative 4. So I'm going to subtract that. Now, one thing you have to remember when you're doing equations, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you need to do to the other side of the equation. All right, so I did negative 4 here, so on this side I have to do negative 4 as well. All right, so using additive inverse rule, positive 4, negative 4 cancels out to be 0. All right, but I'm not going to write 0 there. I'm just going to cross it out so I know that they cancel. Right? It's 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract on this side. So I have 24 minus 4 leaves me with 20. All right? So I still have more left to this equation. I still have this 5x here that I have not solved. So I'm going to bring that down along with my equal sign. So now I have this equation that says 5x equals 20. Well, how do I solve this? Well, the fact that these numbers are just next to each other like that, it really means 5 times something is 20. So remember I said you have to work backwards? So since this is 5 times something, what is the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So I'm going to divide by the number that's closest to the variable, which is 5. I'm going to divide by 5. Remember my other rule? Well, it's the rule for equations. Whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other side. So this, I'm also dividing by 5. All right, 5 divided by 5 is 1. So now I have 1x, which is the same thing. 1x is the same thing as just putting an x by itself. Okay, so these are the same thing. All right, so now I do 20 divided by 5, which is 4. So this x right here that we didn't know, that is 4. X equals 4. And you actually should be able to plug this x, this 4, into the x right here and get the answer that's already there. Let's see. Let's check our work and see if it's right. All right, so we're saying that x is equal to 4. So that means if I write this equation out, right, I plug in 4 here. I'm going to go 5 times x is 4. So I'm going to do 5 times, oh shoot, what's going on right now? 5 times, I'm trying to figure out, all right. 5 times 4 plus 4, and that should equal 24, all right? So what is 5 times 4? Well, I know that's 20, and if I add 4 to it, 20 plus 4 is 24. So does that equal 24? Correct. Check. So we did the equation correctly. Again, if I'm going too fast, please just rewind and do it again. Next thing, finding the perimeter. Whenever you see perimeter, know that you're adding all the sides. Now we need to know what all sides are because they only told us 2. Well, looking at this shape, we know that what shape is this? It's a rectangle. We know rectangles have 2 sides that are the same, okay, that are across from each other. So if this is 5 right here, it's also going to be 5 centimeters. And if this is 14 centimeters right here we'll also have 14 centimeters. So we just figured out the sides of all of these. Right. So now all we do is add it, right? So I'm just going to add 14 plus 5 plus 14 plus 5. Simple. All right. 5, 5, 10, 4, 14, 4, 18. So I have 8, carry the 1, 1, 2, 3. My answer is 38 centimeters. Okay, so from adding all these sides, it came up to 38 centimeters. Remember, do not just copy the answers down. You need to work out each problem. I will be looking for that in your notebooks. All right. Let us do the next math skill, which is statistics. All right, whenever you see this word here, it says find the mean average. Mean, average, they're the same word, or it has the same meaning. It's not the same word, 2 different words, but same meaning. All right, so in order to find the average, first you add, then you divide. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add all of these numbers together. So let's do it the nice and long way. And then eventually we'll just use our handy dandy calculators. So we're just going to add all this right now. 9, 5, that is 14 plus 0 plus 0. So it stays 14. So I bring my 4 down, carry the 1. All right, so I'm looking for shortcuts here right now. I see there's a 1 and a 9. So that's 10. All right, so 10 plus 18, 7 plus 8 is 18. All right, and I know that 8 plus 7 is 15, so I had 18 plus 7, that would be 25. So now I have 25 plus 6. I know 5 plus 6 is 11. So now it's 25 plus 6, which means that should end with 1, so it's 31. I hope that made sense to you. If not, just use your fingers. All right. Now, so we did the adding part. So check with the adding. Now we need to divide. What are we dividing? Oh, I'll just drop my pen. All right. Well, we're dividing the amount of numbers that we have here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, by this total that we came up with. So I'm dividing by 4. All right, so if I was to put this in my calculator, let me just show you guys how it would look like. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, thanks, calculator. All right. All right, so if I was putting this in my calculator, what I would do is I would put in this number that goes on the inside first, because I'm breaking this number apart. All right. So I would do 314 divided by 4. And the average is 78.5. So this person got a C, a B, a D, and an A, and their average, their total average is a 78.5. So it's like a C average. All right. Now, if we were doing long division, let's do it up here. This is taking so long, huh? All right. All right, let's just go through the motions. All right, so I'm gonna ask myself, is there a multiple of 4, or I'm starting with 3, is there a multiple of 4 that is 3 or less than 3? All right, there's no multiple that's 3, but there is a multiple that's less than 3, and that is 0. All right, because 4 is too big. So I'm going to use 0. What is 4 times 0? 0. I subtract, leaves me with 3, bring down the next. Now I have 31. So I need to ask myself, is there a multiple of 4? Think of the 4 times table. All right. Now in the 4 times table, is there a number that is close to 31, or is 31 or less than 31? Okay, well, there isn't one that's close to 31. It's 32, but I can't use it because it's too big. I need to go less. Okay, so what multiple could I use? 28. Well, which numbers give me 28? It's going to be 4 times 7. So I'm going to write that right here on top of the 1. And 4 times 7 is what? 28. Remember, it has to be a number that's less than. Cannot be greater than. So now I'm going to subtract 28 from 31. That leaves me with 3. Bring down the 4. I'm running out of space here. All right, I'm going to ask myself again, is there a multiple of 4 that is 34 or less than 34? Yes. I'm going to have to use the multiple of 32. Because if I use the next multiple, which is 36, that would be too big. So I need to use 32. Well, what 4 times what is 32? 4 times 8. So I'm writing that there. All right. I'm going to subtract, leaves me with 2. All right. I cannot have remainders. We don't do remainders anymore in 7th grade, middle school. What you do is you put a decimal when you're done. When these numbers have run out, you put a decimal up here, and then you add a 0. So now I have this new number, which is 20. Okay, thinking of the multiples in 4. Is there a multiple in the 4 times tables that is 20 or close to 20? Absolutely. 5. Oh gosh, I can't even fit that there. And what is, well, the multiple is 20, sorry. I Okay, and 4 times what gave us 20? 4 times 5. So I'll put that up here, which I already did. Now I'm going to subtract this with 0. That means I'm done. So, you know, that's the same thing we got right here. 87.5. And it's done much quicker on the calculator, but you still have to be able to do this right here, or else you can't pass that FSA at the end of the year. You need to learn how to do long division. Last one, probability. Very easy. All right. With probability, you always put the total at the bottom. Okay, and it's always going to be like a fraction like this. All right, so it says a jar that has 5 yellow, 5 red, and 4 green. I should have said a jar has, whatever. Anyway, now it's asking what is the probability of selecting a yellow marble from the jar? All right, so, well, how much total is in the jar? What I need to do is I need to add all of these. I need to add the yellow, the red, the green. Okay, so when I add all of that, I get 5 plus 5, 10, plus 4, 14. Okay, so that's the total I put at the bottom. Now, what did they ask me? They asked me what the probability of selecting yellow. Well, how many yellow is in the jar? There's only 5. So that is what I put at the top. So there's probability 5/14 probability of pulling out a yellow. All right. Can I simplify this? No, I cannot. So our warm-up is done. Adios.